Now at 10 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, a two-vehicle wreck on Navarro results in one person taken to the hospital. We hear how the Texas drought is affecting farmers in the Crossroads. And one person is arrested after a fatal stabbing at an Austin area high school.
We are going to be looking at a storm coming out of the Rockies, producing serious weather here and a cold front for our area that'll bring us some rain. We'll talk all about that coming up.
And a huge announcement to an all-time great quarterback from Cuero High School. I'll tell you more in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker. Shauna Curry is on assignment. Two vehicles crashed on Navarro earlier today and one person was taken to the hospital. Police say that a black SUV was heading southbound on Navarro before trying to run a red light at the East Magruder intersection. At the same time, a silver Dodge Ram tried to turn left onto northbound Navarro. The two cars collided in the middle of the intersection, forcing police to shut down surrounding roads like Sam Houston Drive to one lane. A Victoria man faces 2 charges of aggravated sexual assault of a child. Victoria police arrested 23-year-old Michael Phillips on charges from Aransas County. He is in the Victoria County Jail in lieu of $25,000 bond. A Victoria man is charged with aggravated robbery. Victoria County deputies arrested 28-year-old Caleb Walters. He is in the Victoria County Jail in lieu of $50,000 bond. An 18-year-old student was charged with murder after a fatal stabbing at an Austin area high school today. Manor police said the victim, 18-year-old Darren Loving, was stabbed in the chest. 18-year-old Mac Mbanwe was arrested and charged with murder. He is in the Travis County Jail. Authorities said the stabbing happened after an altercation between the two students. The student was pronounced dead on the scene. The district said school closed early on Tuesday and classes are canceled for Wednesday at both Manor high schools. The Victoria ISD School District Board of Trustees will hold a special meeting tomorrow evening at the administration building starting at 5:30. During this session, the board will review the superintendent finalists' employment contract and address other legal issues. Sheila Colazo is the finalist for superintendent. She currently serves as the deputy superintendent for the Somerset ISD. The meeting begins with public testimony, giving community members a chance to speak directly to the board. The drought in South Texas has no end in sight, and some industries could feel the squeeze soon. 25 News Now reporter Trenton Whiting has more details. Trenton?
Don, thank you. The drought rages on here in the Crossroads, and it might just affect one of the biggest industries here, agriculture. South Texas farmers and ranchers are feeling the impact of the ongoing drought, so much so that if the drought continues, drastic measures will have to be made. We will likely close out October without any measurable rainfall in Victoria. The Victoria County AgriLife Extension agent says at this point, livestock, especially the supply of hay that cattle feed on, will continue to reduce, leaving ranchers no choice but to find other and often much more expensive ways to feed their cattle.
Most of the time, at this time of the year, we have adequate forage that takes us to that first frost. Right now, we don't. So ranchers are having to feed the surplus hay that we've already baled this year real early. Usually we don't start feeding hay until after the first frost, which is historically about December the 1st.
Boucher says that at this time of year, most crops have already been harvested, but if the drought continues into 2025, the impact will likely be serious. Things have gotten so dry, even Victoria residents are being asked to conserve water due to lower water levels in the Guadalupe River. Don, back to you.
Trent, thank you. And as South Texas grapples with severe drought conditions, we want to know, should water restrictions be implemented in South Texas to help farmers and ranchers facing drought impacts? Yes or no? Numbers have changed a little bit from 6, but still overwhelmingly, 85% of our voters say yes. South Texas should implement restrictions to aid drought-stricken farmers and ranchers. And we thank you for voting. The city of Victoria is entering stage 2 of its drought contingency plan. Low rainfall to the north of Victoria caused the Guadalupe River flow to drop below the threshold for stage 2 for this month. Residents are required to water their yards with an automatic sprinkler or filling pools and washing vehicles between the hours now of 6 to 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. to midnight. Residents can water their lawns with hoses at any time of day. Let's take a first look at your forecast with First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Pettis. I just saw tonight another Texas county going on a burn ban. That is Bexar County, San Antonio.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, the situation we've been talking about for over, 2 to 3 weeks, because we went through that 30 days of no significant rainfall. October has been virtually dry. Today we have the strong south winds. They're pumping up the moisture, and the good news is we're getting ready for this cold front. Now this one will produce some heavy rain to the north. We get the tail end of it, but it's only the beginning. We'll be talking about the rain chances for this week coming up a little bit later on. Back to you, Don.
Mac, thank you. In 7 of the 9 days for early voting in Victoria this month, the number of voters casting their ballots went over 2,000. That continued today. 2,147 people voted in person Tuesday, 17,475 in-person votes so far. 22 mail-in votes were received Tuesday, 2,068 mail-in votes received so far. Total votes cast over 19,000. That's 34% of Victoria County registered voters. Just over 60% of registered voters in Victoria County cast their ballots in the 2020 presidential election. Tonight, Texas Senate candidates Ted Cruz and Colin Allred ramped up campaign events statewide. Cruz pushes border security and the economy, while Allred focuses on reproductive rights and voter turnout. With just days left, both candidates rally supporters in this high-stakes race.
Today, Ted Cruz and Colin Allred on a campaign blitz. Both candidates crisscrossing the state with events planned throughout the final stretch of the U.S. Senate race.
And I know this, there has never been a greater difference in Senate candidates than between me and Colin Allred.
At an event in Conroe this week, Cruz has aimed to tie Allred to Vice President Kamala Harris and is pushing the topics of the economy and border security.
And I'll tell you, there is no greater threat to our security than the chaos at our southern border right now. And I worked hand in hand with President Trump to secure the border, and we achieved incredible success.
In Houston, Allred holding 3 events, including roundtable discussions on women's health and black business, and a Get Out the Vote event. He was joined by Georgia Senator Raphael Warnock and former member of Destiny's Child and Houston native LaToya Luckett.
When I join Senator Warnock in the United States Senate, we're going to make Roe v. Wade the law of the land again.
At the first event, Allred said he believes the issue of reproductive rights can cross political lines and bring voters to his side.
This is about making sure Texans know what is happening, because I do come across some Texans who don't understand just how extreme this law is, who's responsible for it, and what we can do about it, which is beating Ted Cruz.
The polls are open for early voting this week in Victoria County from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Voting is at the Dr. Patty Dodson Public Health Center at 2805 North Navarro Street, Classroom A. Early voting goes through this Friday, November 1st. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton calls for the resignation of State Representative Jeff Leach. Paxton also announced a criminal referral. This comes after Leach confessed to an unlawful attempt to influence a judge in capital punishment proceedings. Leach texted a Texas Court of Criminal Appeals judge last week that Robert Roberson deserves a new trial. Roberson is sentenced to death in the murder of his 2-year-old daughter. There was a trunk or treat event at Mockingbird Lane and Lawrence Street this evening. All businesses in Mockingbird Plaza pitched in their time and effort to ensure that the children had a great time. The sponsors arrived an hour early to set up. The owner of Easy Max Loans, Max Hurrah, put this event together as a way of giving back to the community.
They took time out of their schedule to come out here, and all these people out here, all these businesses, they were loving and wanting to come out here.
He says this event was done with a lot of love. In Houston, some special superheroes made a surprise visit to MD Anderson Children's Cancer Hospital Tuesday. Dressed as Batman, Spider-Man, and more, these heroes scaled down the building, appearing in the windows of patients' rooms, moving floor by floor. The hospital's window washers, in disguise, took part in a heartwarming tradition. Every year, MD Anderson organizes this event to bring smiles to patients and their families during the holidays, adding a touch of heroic magic to the season. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Then you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. And stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 10. Suspicious ballot fires in the Pacific Northwest prompt investigations. Also ahead, Chinese hackers target Trump family calls the week before the presidential election. The U.S. Supreme Court rejected Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s effort to be removed from the ballots in Wisconsin and Michigan. The Supreme Court delivered Tuesday's decision without additional commentary. Kennedy argued that keeping his name on the ballot in two crucial battleground states violated his First Amendment rights, since he suspended his campaign in August and endorsed Donald Trump. State election officials argued that early and absentee voting had already begun. Tuesday's decision follows a recent court rejection of Kennedy's attempt to appear on New York's ballot. Concerns over election security are growing, just as millions of Americans have already voted a week before Election Day. The FBI is now investigating fires set to ballot drop-off boxes in the Pacific Northwest that one official called an act of terror. The election officials and law enforcement are now on high alert.
Election ballots suspiciously up in flames in drop boxes in Portland, Oregon.
It looks like there's some kind of device attached to the ballot box.
And nearby in Vancouver, Washington, officers seen pulling out ballots still burning.
We do have smoke coming out of the ballot box.
Officials say hundreds of ballots at this location have been damaged. Authorities releasing this image they say is the suspect's Volvo, intensifying the search for the person behind this. These incidents believed to be tied to a third ballot box fire earlier this month. Investigators say all started by incendiary devices.
I'm not taking any chances.
Some people deciding to vote in person after hearing about the incidents.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that our vote got counted and that we didn't have to get a new ballot or anything.
It comes as Homeland Security officials issue a new warning that domestic radicals are posting threats of violence toward election officials or infrastructure to prevent perceived fraud or to retaliate against it. The issue putting law enforcement agencies and election officials across the nation on alert.
We're being very vigilant here to make sure that we're prepared and that we're focused on making sure that every eligible voter has the opportunity to cast a ballot in this election and have that ballot counted.
In Los Angeles, election leaders and the sheriff's office outlining their security plan for election night, which includes canines sniffing ballots for any suspicious substances, deputies transporting ballots from voting sites to the processing center, which will be under heavy surveillance.
Please know that although there are no credible threats, we will always be prepared to respond swiftly to any incidents or threats.
47 states have free ballot tracking services that allow voters to confirm if their ballots have been mailed, received, and counted. The envelopes have barcodes that can be tracked like packages. Tim Pulliam, ABC News, Los Angeles.
With just days before the 2024 election, hackers linked to the Chinese government are accused of targeting some of former President Trump's relatives. U.S. officials say the cyber criminals were focusing on Eric Trump and Jared Kushner's call and text data. Trump's son and son-in-law have joined the list of high-profile political figures whose phone communications were targeted by the hackers. U.S. officials say it appears the hackers are not trying to disrupt the upcoming election, but are more likely trying to collect intelligence and private communications. The investigation is ongoing. Noise is everywhere, from the buzz of a leaf blower to the roar of a concert crowd. The CDC says exposure to loud sounds could be damaging your ears.
Hearing loss from loud noises is a major health concern that can affect anyone, from children to adults, and it often goes undetected until it's too late. Blaring sounds from common activities like mowing the lawn, using power tools, or cheering at a sports game can cause permanent damage. Even a single exposure to extremely loud noise, such as fireworks, can lead to hearing loss. Always wear ear protection when you know you are likely to be in a noisy place. Get your hearing checked regularly if you're at risk. If you do experience any of the early signs of hearing damage, such as muffled hearing or ringing in the ears, make an appointment with a hearing specialist right away. With this Medical Minute, I'm Jacqueline Lee.
Patients seeking emergency care for dehydration or nausea are now half as likely to receive IV fluids compared to before Hurricane Helene. A Truveta research analysis found that the storm caused flooding at a North Carolina plant, which supplies about 60% of IV fluids to U.S. hospitals. This has created multiple new shortages across the country. To minimize the impact, officials recommend conservation strategies, including oral hydration alternatives like Gatorade or Pedialyte, and close assessment of IV fluid needs.
Well, good evening, everyone. We're looking at 73 degrees right about now. Our high today did manage to get up to 90. I knew it was 90. As compared to 80, which is our average temperature, and 2 degrees off from record highs. The thing is, the interesting part is that we have had 1/100th of an inch of rain today. I didn't see it. Maybe you saw it, but that's what the recording came in and from the airport. Now, this is the interesting part. We've been virtually dry all of October, and on a normal October, we should get 3.74 inches of rain. We're not even close to that. That's all we got. So the rainfall so far is 33 inches, and we need to get that number to about 40. Coming up, we'll be talking about the rain coming in. We'll be right back. Well, we've been talking about it all day because now the city is asking everyone to watch their water use. And here's the official tabulation. This came out last week. Abnormally dry would be the first level, moderate drought, severe drought, extreme drought, and exceptional. So here's the crossroads, and we are in level 2, which is a moderate drought. Now to the north, this is another problem that I think is going to crop up sooner or later. There's been very little rain in the Colorado River watershed, and of course that comes all the way down here to Matagorda County, and that's a major concern because there's a lot of people that depend on that river, and it's not getting fed. And then to the west of San Antonio, all the way out to Lake Hondo, they're in an extreme drought as well. So that's where we are as of now. So, the winter season hopefully will bring us something. Now, we had a few sprinkle showers that came in this afternoon. You probably noticed how strong the winds were today. We haven't seen a strong wind like that in a while, and all of that moisture is racing up into the plains, setting up the stage for what could be a little bit of fireworks tomorrow. Now, here's the storm. Here's the front. That front is going to eventually make it to our area, but as it blows out of the Rockies into the Central Plains, that cold air and that warm air are going to collide, and we're going to look like problems. In fact, already in the Central Plains, we have the possibility of severe weather tomorrow, an enhanced area basically from Oklahoma up to St. Louis or northern Missouri, and then of course down into Oklahoma and North Texas. Now, we're not included in that, but this is the front that's going to get down to our area, and that's going to trigger the rain tomorrow, or rather Thursday. And so, it's all looking like it's really going to happen. So this is the prediction by the models of how much rain we'll get through Wednesday. And you can see that it's still just very light stuff. But notice right here, there's this line. This is the band of showers that's going to come down through our area, probably last maybe 3 or 4 hours, and then it will sort of decrease. So this is not expected to be a flood situation, severe storms, anything like that. We're just going to call it damp, rain, wetness, that kind of stuff that we'll probably be dealing with. Now tomorrow we'll be up at still in the upper 80s. You can see how there's some cooler weather throughout New Mexico, and that'll slowly be rolling into the state. Here's the storm as it rolls out, and this is a classic scenario right here. You've got the wind going to the northeast, you've got the cold air coming out of the Rockies, it's running into the Gulf air, and there's that line of storms. Now, as we go through the future, we see that the line really does make it to our area, and therefore the rain chances are there. It's not a mysterious, ephemeral, ghosty thing. It's actually going to happen. The front actually stalls off the coast and then backs up as we get into Friday and Saturday. So we'll have a continuing chance of rain. Now, will the drought end this weekend? No. But, you know, looks like we're going to get something. So that's good. Here's your day planner for tomorrow. This is your Wednesday, partly cloudy, a 20% chance of a sprinkle or two. 91 tomorrow in Cuero, partly cloudy and 1 or 2 sprinkles. Main event comes in on Thursday. I know it's Halloween, but we look to have some scattered showers around the area. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Then a stronger cold front comes in early next week. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone. And now here's Max with sports.
All right, thanks, Mac. Tonight we had 4 area volleyball teams win district championships here in the Crossroads. I'll tell you more coming up in sports. To start our show tonight, we had some breaking news earlier from the Houston Texans as star wide receiver Stephon Diggs is now out for the rest of the season with a torn ACL. And Diggs was just recently acquired by the Texans after being traded from the Buffalo Bills over to Houston this offseason. And Diggs is one of the top receivers here in the NFL, and this will also be huge here for the Texans for the rest of the season. They try to make a run to the playoffs and try to see if they can win the AFC South. The Texans, they will be back in action versus the Jets here on Thursday Night Football, held on Amazon Prime. Now from some current football in the NFL action now to some past Crossroads star, former Cuero Gobbler quarterback Brad Gable will be inducted to the Texas High School Hall of Fame in May of 2025. And Gable played for the Gobblers again back in the 1980s. He graduated from Cuero in 1986. And again, had some great stats there out in Cuero. He passed for 2,528 yards and 31 touchdowns. And Gable would then go on to play at Baylor University before going to the NFL, and he played for the Philadelphia Eagles, the Cleveland Browns, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I had a chance to chat with him about this honor and what this means to him.
I'm very honored, excited about next year and meeting all these inductees, and really just, you know, I was inducted a few years ago into the Baylor Hall of Fame. And I really thought that was just icing on the cake. You know, I didn't expect anything else. And this to come up, just tremendous honor, and really happy to be able to share this with my friends and my family.
Congrats there to Gable for being inducted to the Texas High School Hall of Fame. And he's there with some other inductees who you might know, and Robert Griffin III and Patrick Mahomes. And Gable just proud to make the city of Cuero happy and proud, and, you know, everything else there for the city as well. Now, earlier here tonight, we had some pre-Halloween fun happening at the Victoria Youth Sports Complex, where we had some kids from the elementary level all the way up to the high school level dress up in Halloween costumes. Yes, a little pre-Halloween baseball fun action there. And some of the kids, they dressed up in some fun costumes, right? One kid had a banana costume on, another kid had some jail costumes, one had a Ninja Turtle costume. And again, this was just a great event for the community and everyone around. But again, some great fun there here in Victoria. Now, today here in some more serious news was the last day of regular season here for high school volleyball. We had 4 area teams. Some others, again, they won district championships, and some made it into the postseason. And the 4 teams that won district championships here tonight were Calhoun, Goliad, Victoria West, and Victoria St. Joseph. And both Calhoun and Goliad Volley, they finished up undefeated in district play to end up. Calhoun ended up being 7-0. Goliad finished 10-0, and they're going to get their 10th straight district championship. And now, Also, Victoria West, they finished undefeated as well. They got 12-0 as well to finish the season. So, and also give shout out here to other teams that are going to be making the playoffs here in Victoria East and Cuero. There'll be teams we'll be looking at too going into next week. And speaking of Cuero, in some non-district action, the Lady Gobblers welcome St. Michael's to town here tonight. And Cuero able to defend the Roost and getting the win in 4 sets. And next up for Cuero, we got Goliad again in that pre-postseason warm-up match. They'll be held there on Friday for a lot of the volleyball teams here in the Crossroads. And again, Tigerettes, they swept Cuero when they saw each other earlier this season. So, Don, we're going to have to see how this matchup goes. And again, we got playoff volleyball coming up. We got 2 weeks left here, again, of high school football. It's going to be a lot going on here in these next couple of weeks, for sure.
Still busy there, Max. All right, thank you. And stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 10, we'll take a last look at your weather. Plus, spooky witches' marks are found in an historic house in England. Just ahead of Halloween, a spooky discovery at an old Tudor house in England. A series of witches' marks carvings dating to 1596 were discovered on the walls of Gainsborough Old Howell in Lincolnshire, found by English Heritage. These markings are believed to ward off evil spirits and include burn marks for fire protection. A curse may have been placed on a former owner whose name was inscribed upside down. Similar marks were commonly made in historic churches, homes, and caves to guard against sickness and misfortune. We're highlighting homes around the area, who went all in for the holiday spirit. These decorations come from the Dorset's home here in Victoria. His front yard decked out with a graveyard and ghouls who watch over the coffins. They even encourage folks to take pictures inside of the coffins. They say they get a lot of visitors who are spooked by their impressive display that took weeks to set up, and they say they still aren't done wanting to add more items to the roof. Oh my gosh.
That is
some kind of display. There's some kind of display out there.
I hope that they're waterproof and that they have their electrical connections well secured, because I do expect some rain activity to occur on Thursday, and of course that's Halloween evening. I don't expect any severe weather, no thunder, no lightning, no flooding, nothing like that. We're just going to call it wetness coming in with that frontal system that should be here around sundown. So it's kind of right at peak time. But look at it this way. It makes it even spookier when there's clouds around.
This is true. Mac, thank you. And finally tonight, Halloween is on Thursday, and on Halloween Eve, the country will celebrate one of the holiday's most signature candies. Tomorrow is National Candy Corn Day. This sweet treat first debuted in the late 1880s. Candy corn's creator, George Renninger, initially made candy corn to resemble corn kernels. Back then, the candy's colors featured yellow, orange, and white. But candy corn has evolved over the years. People have tried to add different looks and flavors to candy corn, but hey, it's still candy corn, one of my all-time favorites. When I liked candy. And my belt, never mind. All right. We get it. All right. Hey, thanks for joining us for 25 News Now at 10. Join Carolina Astor-E, meteorologist Parker Cox. 25 News Now Sunrise starting at 5 a.m. Good night, everybody.